Hello and welcome back. My name is India and I happen to read a lot, and welcome to the first wrap up of 2026. We've already had the first TBR of 2026. I didn't bother to do a January TBR. I had so many other videos planned. So we skipped the January TBR, but I have brought out my February TBR, so you should check it out. But today we're going to be wrapping up all the books that I read in January. So this month I read 16 books. I read 14 books and I DNF'd 2. This is the best that I've ever read in a month, literally for ages. Last year, I didn't get to 14/16 at all. I think this is down to a mixture of I'm audiobooking more and I'm reading manga. So in general, the kind of ways I'm consuming stories is a little bit different just from your bulk standard reading a novel. So hence why my numbers have increased. For those of you who have never watched any of my wrap-ups, I like to organize my wrap-ups in a way where I do lowest rated to highest rating. So I leave the best till last. That's not going to change. This is how we're going to do it. We're going to start off though with our DNFs of the month. So yes, starting off with our DNFs of the month, we have 2 very different, I've actually organised my books this time. They're actually in a stack from ascending order, but they're going down. Besides the point. So I had 2 DNFs this month. So these are 2 very, very different books. We have a contemporary romance and we have a history, literature, analysis, non-fiction book. So we'll start off first with female fantasy. This is by Iman Kariri-Kia. This is a contemporary fantasy following a young woman who is absolutely obsessed with this romantasy novel to the point where she will compare any man she dates to the book boyfriend in that book, and that has been kind of to her detriment. It means that these men think that she has these incredibly high standards, and I don't think it's wrong having high standards. But anyway, she finds out that the male love interest in this book is actually inspired by one of the author's closest friends, and she goes on a road trip to meet this man and see could this actually be her dream guy. So the reason I DNF'd this, and I DNF'd this incredibly early, so I can't comment on the whole book, but the reason I DNF'd this book was because I personally couldn't get on with the writing style that much. So in this book, she tries to do something very interesting, and I really, really like the idea. Half the book is the contemporary romance as we follow our main character, Junie, and then the other half is snapshots of the fantasy romance that she loves so much. As someone that reads a lot of romance and also is a massive fantasy fan, that romantasy part of the story, I needed it to be good. And personally, I wasn't sold on it. I didn't like the writing. I thought it was very because you're trying to write 2 books in one, you run the risk of something being a little bit more on say the surface level side. And that's how I felt reading the fantasy things. I think her contemporary romance elements of this novel were really, really strong. I just didn't love the fantasy romance elements. I didn't think that they were that great. So I ended up just DNFing it because I thought, I don't think this book is for me, but considering a lot of this book is made up of those romantasy chapters, so I had to give that one a skip. Then we have Eat Bites Back. So I tried to audiobook this one. I've always said with nonfiction that I love history books and I love books about books. So this on paper seemed perfect. It is an alternate history of English literature, but it's focusing on the women contemporary to the male writers that we hear about all the time. Now, it started off really, really good. The chapters on Julian of Norwich and Marjorie Kemp were really, really interesting. Unfortunately, I just couldn't get into it after that chapter, and I found myself not really drawn to picking up the audiobook again, and I found it at times hard to follow. So because of that, I just thought, you know what, in 2026, if it's not sparking joy, we're going to Marie Kondo it and we're just going to DNF it. And that's all that is. I think with both of these books, there's definitely, I think it's just a me thing. Doesn't mean they're bad books. Just didn't work for me. Now we're going to go on to the 3.5 stars. So we have 4 3.5 stars for the docket today. These are a very big mixture. It's either we've got a sci-fi, a horror, and 2 contemporary romances for the 3.5 stars today. So we'll start first with Rose House. This is by Arkady Martine. This is my first Arkady Martine book. And I picked this in a spur of the moment because I DNF'd another book. Now, I just want to say that I literally, to the point, did not read enough of that book at all that I haven't even bothered to add it to this list. So it's a completely different book. Sometimes I literally read the first 2 chapters and was like, no. So when I was covering another store, I was like, I just need to pick a book and read that, and we'll go from there. And I thought, let's do something really quick and easy so I can crack on with the rest of my TBR at home. And this took me 3 days to read. I don't know what it was. I was in some kind of reading funk in the middle of the month. But this is Rose House. This is a sci-fi crime about a detective who gets access to a house that is made up of artificial intelligence because there is a dead body in the middle of the house, but they don't know how the dead body got there because the house only opens to one specific person for a week, a year, and she'd already come and gone. Overall, really, really good, nice and short. I really enjoyed the first half. I was a bit confused by the ending, so I went from a 4 stars to a 3.5, but in general, I like the conversations about artificial intelligence. I always enjoy those conversations. I also don't read enough sci-fi and I want to read some more. But yeah, it would have been higher if I had liked the ending more, but I still think this was a solid book. Then we have What Feasts at Night by T. Kingfisher. So this is the second book in the Sworn Soldier series. Last year for book group, we read What Moves the Dead, which was a 5-star read. Absolutely incredible retelling of the fall of the House of Usher, which I had not read at that point. So a really, really big fan of that book. So I was excited to see the sequel. So this sequel is not based on anything, and I think that might be half of the issue. I felt that the last book had such a deep depth to it and very intricate layering, and I really, really enjoyed it. This one felt a little bit less, we didn't get really into the nitty gritty, I felt with this one. This one felt like it was more of a, let's write a fun, creepy novella, while the other one was like, let's unpack all of the depths of this story. And I think that's because T. Kingfisher, in my opinion, was elevating an original classic story. This one is just a normal, off the top of T. Kingfisher's brain. And I'm a massive T. Kingfisher fan, and there are many, many books of T. Kingfisher's that I own that I want to get around to reading. This one for me was fine. I enjoyed it. I thought it was more predictable. I thought the characters weren't as interesting as the characters in the last book. And I think I spent most of the time comparing it to What Moves the Dead, which probably was its detriment a little bit because I don't think it's as good as What Moves the Dead, but it's still a good, creepy horror. I liked the dream element. I just think it was more predictable and less... It was missing like a oomph, that's what I'm trying to say. Then, one of the first manga volumes to mention in the wrap-up, we have Kimi ni Todoke From Me to You, Volume 1 by Karuho Shiina. So this has been a series that I've been wanting to read for a really, really long time. I actually bought this in a Forbidden Planet, in my first ever trip to Forbidden Planet, which as a manga fan, the one in London, is there more than one in London? I don't know. But the one that I went to in London, incredible. I was like, felt like I was in heaven. Yeah, this was really good. This was really fun. I enjoyed the setup. I always feel like I have strong parameters when it comes to manga. You've got to set up your characters well. You've got to set up the main story well. Just set up those story beats so we know what we're getting ourselves into. And I think this did a good enough job. I find, and this can be such a generalization, but I find books, manga volumes that come out, and this isn't obviously all of them, but for me personally, early 2000s manga volumes love to use every aspect of the page, right? There is not going to be a single gap on that page. Now, for me personally, I don't know whether it's my brain or what it is, but I tend to enjoy manga more when it has a little bit more of a structured way of reading. When there's like so many different speech bubbles, my brain is like, which one am I looking at first? What am I doing? So I tend to struggle a little bit more with those when it comes to getting the story across. I find it a lot with Nana and Sailor Moon, so I think it's just like a style of that specific time. Still really, really enjoyed the story. Still got it. I do like the blossoming romance. There seems to be an element of like characters' insecurities that won't let them really say how they feel. And as someone who just tells people how she feels, I got my boyfriend because we hung out for a month and I went, cool, I like you, let's be together. I'm not someone that won't say my feelings. So this is just a personal thing. I struggle sometimes with characters not really saying how they feel. Like, just say it. But that's just me. But yeah, no, overall, I really enjoyed it. I like the characters so far. I like the romance that's blossoming. My one thing is, and it's probably why it's a 3.5 stars, it's just my own personal issues, is just there's a lot of like, my girl Sawako cannot see the bullying that is right in front of her face. And it makes me sad. Like, I get really sad. And the last panel is like a big cliffhanger where these girls are just pretending that she said shit that she hasn't said about her new blossoming female friendships. And I get so uncomfortable I mean, the author does a great job. And I think the author does a great job of showing that kind of high school bully vibe. Maybe too good for me and my own sensitivities. But there were certain times where I'd be like, oh God, this is actually quite a hard read because Lovely Sawako does not get it and cannot see it. I need to read a couple more volumes to realise if this is something I like. I think it's a very good start, but I just need a little bit more. See where we're going. I always say give manga about 3 volumes to see whether I like something. So yeah, we'll see. Volumes 2 and 3, we'll give it a go. And then the final 3.5 star we have is Catch Her If You Can by Tessa Bailey. This is the 5th, and I want to say potentially final book. I'm not sure if she's releasing another Big Shot series book. I'm unsure, but Catch Her If You Can is a baseball sports romance, and it follows 2 characters that we were introduced into the last book, Picture Perfect. And I'm about to go on a little bit of a Big Shots rant, so please buckle in. So it features Madden and Eve, 2 characters that are introduced in book 4, Picture Perfect. And their whole vibe is that Eve has had a big old crush on him. They both had a big old crush on each other for a really, really long time, but circumstances meant that they never really said anything to each other. And then at the end of book 4, Madden realizes that Eve likes him. He runs over. The big shock at the end of the book is that she has custody of her nieces and nephews while her sister goes to a rehab facility. And the whole crux of this book is he offers to marry her for her health insurance to cover the kids while she's looking after them. And then he's very much like, I want this marriage to work. And she's like, I got so much shit going on. I don't think I can be who you want to be. Right. Here comes my rant. I personally, when it comes to romance books and romance series, I want the continuing connective group to actually hang out, right? So we start off, we have not even, and I'm not even joking, you've got a golf player, and the connection is that his girlfriend is best friends with the love interest in book 2, and he kind of is sort of friends with the male love interest in book 2. Then the golf guy's no way connected to any of the couples in book 3, because in book 3, it's the vice captain of the hockey team that the male love interest in book 2 is a part of. Then book 4 is another member of that hockey team. So again, we're very far removed away from the golf original romance. And then this one follows the best friend of the female love interest and the guy that the female love interest had a crush on in the first book. That's the whole fake dating jealousy storyline, right? So at this point, it's a Big Shot series, but we're so far removed from the first book. And personally, for me, when it comes to me as a romance reader, I want to think of things like the Chestnut Spring series, where the family is a close-knit unit and we're just following each member of that family. Off the Ice, these are the ones because they're the ones that I read the most. Off the Ice, where each member is a member of the hockey team. I just think if book 1 characters and book 5 characters are never going to meet, I personally don't like that. For me, if you're going to give me an interconnected standalone romance series, I need everyone in that book series to at least know each other, okay? And interact with each other. That's what I love so much about interconnected standalone romances, is I like the little introductions of all the other characters and the couples, okay? That's what I want. So that was my first issue. My second issue, this is also not taking away, like I really enjoyed this book. I just need to preface this. My second issue, and this is something I found very specifically with this series, is Tessa Bailey likes to introduce the main couple in their book before, which I fully get and I appreciate that loads of people do this. My issue is a lot of the big core moments happen in the book before the couple's actual book, right? And I feel that with interconnected standalones, it's in the name. You should be able to read that book by itself without having any other knowledge. I just feel personally myself that with Tessa Bailey including the big core moments, like the big moment where Madden and Eve kind of have it out and say their feelings for each other, happens in the book before their book. And yes, they reference it a lot in this book, and obviously a lot of character development goes in, but I really feel that all these big moments should happen in their book, because I feel that sometimes it can make for a disjointed reading experience because you feel like you've missed something. You feel like you're missing a chapter, and I don't like that personally. And that's been my biggest bugbear in the Big Shot series. Overall, though, I would say out of the 5 books I've read so far, this is in the top 3. I think their dynamic in this, I know I'm about to be completely contradictory and be like, oh, well, I think it's crazy that you're bring all of this in book one. You're meant to establish it in their own standalone book. That being said, I love the fact in this dynamic that they've known each other for so long. I think the rest of the books have been books of people who kind of just meet each other for the first time. In this one, they have so much history. And I think that works with their dynamic so well. I like the fact that we jump straight in with the, I know you've got feelings for me, I've got feelings for you, let's make this work, rather than the let's pretend that we don't for 100 pages. So that I really, really liked. I do like the marriage of convenience trope. I love the whole wife, like, that's my wife. Love that. I thought the kids scenes in general were done really well. I feel sometimes with romance authors that write books with children in it, I'm like, have you ever met a child in your life? Didn't really feel about it in this way. I liked the baseball element. I've been reading so many hockey romances. It was good to shake up the sport. I did think this was really, really good. My overall bugbear will always just be that I feel like quite a lot of the big moments that happen in Picture Perfect should actually have kind of happened in Catcher If You Can. Then we have 1 4-star. So this is Searching for Juliet. This was the first book that I read for 2026. And it is, I audiobooked it actually, but this is a book all about the history of Juliet as a character in pop culture and the impact that Juliet has had on pop culture and society in general. I thought this was really, really good. I thought it covered a variety of different exciting elements to understand Juliet's impact in the world. My favourite one will have to be the West Side Story chapters about the creation of the musical and the movie, because I'm a musical movie buff. But yeah, just really, really good. I really, really enjoyed it. It made me realise that audiobooking non-fiction is the way to go for me. Then we also have 1 4.5-star. This is The Heroic Legend of Arslan, Volume 3. I own so many of these volumes of this series, yet I think I started this series like 2 years ago and I'm only now on volume 3, so I need to sort my shit out. But this follows a young boy called Arslan. I can't remember exactly, but his kingdom gets overrun by like the neighbouring kingdom, and they have taken over the kingdom and they're oppressing the people, and Arslan's had to leave to then come back and take his rightful throne. Honestly, it's boy Yona of the Dawn. We all know how much I love Yona of the Dawn. It is beat for beat very, very similar. This one's just more gory and less romance. But it follows Arslan as he's on his way to claim back his throne and claim back his kingdom, but also find out what it means to be a ruler in his world. Again, very similar to Yona of the Dawn. But this one was really, really good. It's originally a story by Yoshihiko Tanaka, but the manga is created by Hiromu Arakawa, the author behind Fullmetal Alchemist and Demons of the Shadow Realm. And I love her art style. Going back really quickly, this is what I'm talking about. This, for me, personally, is a lot more structured than Kimi no Todoke. That I personally, like even the fighting elements, the way that Hiromu Arakawa structures her panels is a lot easier for my brain than the early 2000s shoujo. Does that make sense? But no, this is really, really good. I would say if you're a massive Game of Thrones fan, I would highly, highly, highly recommend this. It's got amazing political intrigue, great fight scenes, really good, interesting characters. So yes, it's all ongoing as well. It doesn't get that much hype, but it's really, really worth it. But they're hard to get hold of, so maybe don't read it so I still have a chance to get the rest of the volumes. We're then moving on to the 5 stars. My God, there's so many, I'm gonna fall off my sofa. There we go. All my 5 stars. Listen, now before any of you come for me and go, wow, that's a lot of 5 stars. I don't give that many 5 stars. I don't care, all right? I don't care. If I like something, it's gonna get a 5 star, people. It's gonna get a 5 star. So we're gonna start off first with the 3 Frieren volumes that I read this month, well, last month. So this, I wanted to finish specifically the arc. This is the Mact of the Golden Land arc, which is about a demon that turns an entire kingdom into gold and how they try to stop that and undo the curse, basically. And we learn a lot about a demon that believes it understands humanity. This was really, really good. I love Frieren. I think Frieren is one of the best new manga series out. Big fan. I really, really like the conversations that happen in this about, can we trust demons in any way, or are they intrinsically evil? I think that's really good. I'm excited to read the rest of the series. I I know season 2 is out. I am actually going to wait for the dub. I have 2 more volumes left. I think I've got volumes 12 and 13. Do I have 14? I don't know. But yeah, this is really, really good. I absolutely love the Frieren series. Next up is Revolve. This is by Khabra. We all know Off the Ice is my favorite romance series at the moment. This is so fucking good. This is actually my favorite book so far. There is 1 book left that comes out in August, following our main character Sierra's best friend, Amber, I think her name is. And then Dylan's really good friend, Kian, who is also my favourite book in the series. My favourite character in the series. So this follows Sierra. Sierra is an ex-Olympian ice skater who, after a nearly like killing her injury, decides that she's going to try and get back on the ice and compete again. And she ends up enlisting the help of Dylan. He is one of the hockey players, but after a really bad, which I won't say for spoilers, but after a big revelation happens in his life, he smokes weed one time at a party, then fails his drug test and gets kicked off the team. So they work together to get her back on the ice and to, you know, keep his skills up, keep him on the ice because that's his passion. And in the process of trying to do well in ice skating, they fall in love. The thing that I like about this is, one, I always say, for me to believe that you have likable, interesting characters, I need to believe in their friends and their family around them. And I think Khabra has done an amazing job of creating succinct, individual side characters that you enjoy. Like the fact that I am so excited for August when Kian's story comes out is a testament to how well written and how likable and fun she's made him, right? So I love all the side characters. I love in this though that we really take time. I think a lot of romance authors at the moment are just like, let's see how many sex scenes we can write in. But for me, I really, really like the fact that we are taking time to learn about what makes Sierra tick, what's making Dylan tick, what's their motivations, what are they scared about. That's a chunky book. Like, that is a really, really chunky book. I flew through this in like 3 days, maybe even less, because the pacing in this is so good. I'm so invested in the characters. I really liked Sierra's conversations about her mental health, which she pushes people away, her fear of the ice. Like, it's just so, so good. I like Dylan as a character. It's just so good. And I'm just saying, if you want to start somewhere with a sports romance, just start with the Off the Ice series by Khabra. I think it's so good. I really, really enjoyed this. It was cool to get a different kind of sport. Like I said with Catch If You Can, it was cool to see some baseball sports. In this, some ice skating sport, especially a more female, I say this in quotation marks because I don't personally believe in myself, but like a more female sport, instead of it just being like, oh, we're going to beat up people on the rink because we play hockey. Generalization. But anyway, I really, really liked it. It's one of my favorite romance books ever, with my favorite romance series. I cannot wait to read. I believe it's Embrace is the next one. But yes, I loved this so much, but it truly is Sierra's conversations about her mental health that tipped it over the edge from being really enjoyable to being an absolute favorite. Then I had She Made Herself a Monster by Anna Kovatcheva. This is a historical fiction about a woman who calls herself a vampire hunter that turns up to a village to get rid of a vampire and ends up helping out a young woman in the process. This is really, really good. When you read the blurb, you think to yourself, this is going to be a woman actually hunting vampires. It's wrong. It is one of those historical fiction books where they try to lean into the speculative element without actually committing to it, which 9 times out of 10, never like. I'm like, just add a bit of fantasy. Is that too much to ask? Don't give me vagueness. But I think this works really, really well in here. I love the characters in this. These characters are a lot of these characters are morally grey, which I really, really like. There's no clear-cut anything when it comes to these characters. I really, really enjoy the kind of, sounds weird to say, but like oppressive nature of the village. Like, you can feel the constraints of this small village on you as you read it. They're surrounded by dark, scary woods. They're surrounded by patriarchal issues. It's really, really good. I like it's less like, scary horror, vampires are real, and more actual human beings are awful people, and let's follow the characters that have to deal with the consequences. But it's really, really good. And she does drop in a couple of like little folklore things throughout the book, which is nice. But I'm just saying this, if you want a good dark historical fiction that talks about women's rights, I would read this. So good. Moving on to actual horror, we have The Possession of Alba Díaz by Isabel Cañas. I read The Hacienda like 2 years ago and I enjoyed it. I thought it was fine. The jump in quality from The Hacienda to The Possession of Alba Díaz, it's literally like I witnessed someone mastering their craft in real life. This follows Alba. Alba flees with her wealthy family and her wealthy fiancé to her fiancé's silver mine when a plague attacks the city in 1765. Alba has always wanted to go to these mines because she'd always known that she was adopted, but she recently found out that as a baby, she was found near the mines. So she's also excited to go back to find a little bit of history about who her family was. And alongside this, she has her wealthy fiancé's cousin who is hated and shamed, but he's been coming along because he's meant to be helping at the silver mine with the creation of silver and turning it into whatever they need to turn it into. I'm not sure. So you've got all of this kind of like, I want to find out the truth about who I am. Oh, wait, my fiancé's cousin's kind of hot. And then, oh, there's a demon inside me. There is a demon in my body. What the fuck am I supposed to do? And then she gets the help of the really hot alchemist, which is the cousin, to help her do that. One thing I really like about Isabel Cañas is she writes great historical horror. Great historical horror. But what I really respect about her is she's like, I'm also going to add a very engaging romance. Without the romance, I would thoroughly enjoy this, but the romance adds an extra level of tension, of atmosphere, of wanting everything to work out, because you're like, but there's this blossoming romance. What's going on? It talks a lot about like the women's place in the world in 1765 and what it means to be adopted in 1765, and conversations on business and family loyalty. And it's really, really, really good. And Isabel Cañas brings the horror elements. So don't just go in going, oh God, it's just going to be like a little romance. The romance in it is amazing. But if you think that the focus is just on the romance and that's it, no. It's just like an extra fun little sprinkling to an amazingly well-written historical horror. And then finally, my favourite book of January is I Am by Maggie O'Farrell. This is a collection of, it's called 17 Brushes with Death. So Maggie O'Farrell lists the 17 instances where she or someone close to her has been she's been close to death, whether that is being close to death from her own experiences or close to death through the experiences of her children or other family members. And it is good. I read The Marriage Portrait last year for a book group that I was a part of, and I couldn't really get into it. I didn't really connect with the writing style. I just realised I think I just love Maggie O'Farrell's non-fiction. I would have thought a book about death, as someone who's a hypochondriac and fears the future, this would be awful. But it's so, there's a nosiness element to it. I will put my hands up. You're like, how many times have you nearly died, Maggie? So there's a small part of me that's like, it's nosiness. But there's another part of me that's like, I find it cathartic to read books of people that are close to death or things like that. I think it helps me as someone who's scared of that to read it. But this is really, really good. It follows a lot of different things, like moments where she's nearly been murdered, or moments where she's had complications giving birth, or moments that it's her and water. Like, stay away from the sea, Maggie, is basically what I felt at one point. But it's really, really good. Her writing is so incredibly beautiful. And shout out to the audiobook narrator. I will write her name here because I audiobooked this as well. So it was just so good. But I would literally find myself just sitting there listening because I just couldn't get over with how mesmerizing her writing is and how kind of intoxicating the topic of death is. You know, it's all going to get us one day. And that's what I find scary. It's all going to get us one day. So having someone be close to that in 17 different ways, very, very scary to me personally. But yes, that was my favorite book. So incredibly well written, genuinely draws you in, and I couldn't press pause on my audiobook because I audiobooked it. But yeah, just really, really, really good. And if you want a good memoir that's a bit different to what you see out there, I'd recommend this. But yes, that is it. That's all the books that I read / attempted to read in January. That is a good little collection, innit? Good little collection. I'm very happy with that. But yes, please check out my February TBR if you haven't. That's giving you an insight into what my goals are for the month. It's a slightly shorter month in February, so I don't think we'll be getting any of these numbers. There's very tentatively on my sofa arm. I don't think we'll be getting anywhere near these books in February, but we'll give it a good go and we'll see. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe and all that fun stuff, and I will see you in the next video at some point.